Present crises in Brazil-China relations. Image: Brazil and China generally maintain strong economic cooperation, but in recent years several political, economic, environmental and geopolitical tensions have created challenges in their relationship. The most important current issues are explained below. 1. Trade imbalance and economic dependence. China is Brazil's largest trading partner, but the structure of trade has created concerns in Brazil. Key issues: Brazil mainly exports raw materials such as soybeans, iron ore and oil to China. China exports manufactured goods and technology products to Brazil. This creates a trade structure where Brazil depends heavily on commodity exports. Many Brazilian economists worry that this relationship keeps Brazil in a raw material supplier role rather than developing its industrial sector. Chinese investment and strategic industry concerns. Chinese companies have invested heavily in Brazil's strategic sectors. Major sectors include energy and electricity distribution, mining, agriculture infrastructure, telecommunications. Some Brazilian policymakers fear overdependence on Chinese capital, especially in strategic industries such as energy grids and ports. For example, Chinese companies linked to State Grid Corporation of China have large investments in Brazil's electricity transmission networks. Critics argue that this could give China too much influence over critical infrastructure. Amazon: environmental and agricultural pressure. Brazil's exports to China, especially soybeans and beef, are one of the drivers of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. Main issues: expansion of soybean farms and cattle ranching, deforestation to increase agricultural exports to China, environmental criticism from global organizations. Environmental groups argue that China's demand indirectly accelerates Amazon deforestation, creating diplomatic sensitivity. 4. Political ideology differences. Brazil's domestic politics sometimes create tension with China. For example, former President Jair Bolsonaro strongly criticized China during his presidency. Some Brazilian political groups still distrust Chinese influence in Latin America. Although the current president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, supports stronger relations with China, internal political divisions in Brazil sometimes create uncertainty in the relationship. 5. Technology and security concerns. Another issue is cooperation in technology and telecommunications. Chinese tech companies such as Huawei play a role in Brazil's telecommunications networks. However, some Brazilian officials worry about cybersecurity risks. Pressure from the United States to limit Chinese technology also complicates Brazil's decisions. This creates a strategic balancing challenge for Brazil. 6. Geopolitical competition and global leadership. Brazil and China cooperate in many global forums such as BRICS. However, there are also subtle geopolitical tensions. China is becoming the dominant economic power among BRICS members. Brazil sometimes worries about losing influence within the global south. Differences exist over leadership roles in international institutions. Thus, cooperation exists, but competition for influence also appears. 7. Agricultural market competition. Although China imports a large amount of Brazilian food, competition also exists. Issues include: China sometimes diversifies suppliers to avoid overdependence on Brazil. Brazil worries that Chinese domestic agricultural policies could reduce imports. This creates uncertainty for Brazilian farmers. Summary. The main current challenges in Brazil-China relations include: 1. Trade imbalance and dependence on commodity exports. 2. Concerns over Chinese investment in strategic industries. 3. Environmental pressures related to Amazon deforestation. 4. Political and ideological differences inside Brazil. 5. Technology and cybersecurity concerns. 6. Competition for influence within global institutions. 7. Agricultural market uncertainties. Despite these tensions, Brazil and China still maintain one of the most important economic partnerships in the developing world.